Hey, welcome to this week's study guide, week 1 of the Road Through Romans. This is called the Romans Road, and we're chapter 1, verse 1 through 17. And so let's dig right in. What was Paul's express purpose in writing and planning on visiting the Christians in Rome? Well, Paul tells us in verse 11, I long to see you so that I may impart some spiritual gift to make you strong. We know that specifically he's talking about a clarification on what the gospel is. Plus, he wants to be with them. He wants to be strengthened by them, and he wants to strengthen them, I guess, in the mutual encouragement in the word and mutual prayer and worship. Also in verse 14, he says, I am obligated both to Greeks and non-Greeks, both to the wise and the foolish. That is why I'm so eager to preach the gospel also to you who are in Rome. Since he can't get there right away, he is sending the gospel in this letter to the Romans. What an incredible book this is. Let's go on to the second question. Why is the fact that Paul had never met the Roman Christians significant to our study? He had never met them. He had never been there, and most of them had never seen him. So why is that significant when it comes to studying this letter of Paul's? Because Paul had never met the Romans, because he'd never been there, he had to make sure that he did not presume anything. They did not have any shared experiences, any shared knowledge. He had to go back to square one on everything. Therefore, what we have is a crystal clear legalese type of writing where he makes sure that he gives them everything that they need to understand the gospel. And so he starts at the beginning and he works his way through how Christ came, and he gives us every detail. And we don't have anything in the background that we have to figure out. It all lays out perfectly. If you're ever trying to introduce the gospel to people, start with one of the gospels like Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, and then give them the book of Romans. It's absolutely incredible. Let's move on to question number 3. Why do you suppose Paul declares early in his letter that he is not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ? Throughout history, there have been those who are challenged by the gospel. For some, it's foolishness. For others, we know these are the very words of life. Paul makes it clear that he's not ashamed. That's why a lot of the times when he's writing these books, he's in chains for the sake of the gospel. He's not ashamed of Christ or what Christ has done, and he's not ashamed to present it. Therefore, he's writing to them with confidence, and he wants to come to them in confidence because he is living for the sake of the gospel. Let's go on to the next question. How is verse 17 a microcosm of the entire letter? How does this give you a hint of the importance of the letter to follow? Well, here we see that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation. It is righteousness through faith. And that is basically the essence of the entire book. We can be made right with God, but only through faith in Jesus Christ. Paul tells the Ephesians we're saved by grace. That is a gift that God gives us through faith. That's the vehicle. That is trusting in Christ. It's nothing that we do. It's not of works. And so we see that this entire book is how we are made right with God. What a valuable gift we've been given in the book of Romans. Finally, let me just ask you a question and discuss it amongst yourselves. Are you ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ? Thank you so much for joining me. I pray that we would not be ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation. God bless you. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you next week.